Good day, my name is Nani and this is Isaac 124 CRN 17017 Operating Systems Platform Assignment 1 Installing Windows Server 2008. So the first step in accomplishing this task is to determine if the system, the host OS, meets the requirements for the platform virtualization software such as Oracle's VirtualBox, as well as the CD/DVD emulation software such as DAEMON Tools that will allow for the Windows Server 2008, which is the guest OS, to be installed. Now the fastest method to determine if the host OS meets the requirements is to right-click the computer icon located on the desktop or from the start menu and select Properties, at which time the Properties window will appear, which will give us basic information about the computer. As can be seen, we do meet and exceed the requirements for installing the aforementioned software, so we will locate and download the software, install it, configure it so as to run Server 2008 as a virtualized instance. VirtualBox can be downloaded from the VirtualBox site. DAEMON Tools can be downloaded from the desktop site. And Server 2008 can be downloaded from the Microsoft Download Center. After you finish downloading the Oracle, VirtualBox, and DAEMON Tools Pro Advanced, as well as Windows Server 2008 Enterprise, we can begin the install process. Now that we have downloaded and installed a VirtualBox and the DAEMON Tools, we will begin by configuring DAEMON Tools so that the Server 2008 ISO can be mounted using a virtual drive. To enable virtual drives, we go to the Device Manager button, click on it, and the window will pop up. This gives us the ability to install three types of virtual drives. First one is the DT adapter, so we'll click the button to enable it, given the drive letter E. The second one is the SCSI adapter, and the third one is the IDE adapter. There we have the three drives. SCSI adapter is given the drive letter F, and the IDE adapter is given the drive letter G. We close the window, we then go to the computer, and here we see a list of physical drives as well as virtual. The physical hard disk drive is Windows 7 Professional, drive letter C. The physical DVD Blu-ray drive is drive D, and the virtual drives are E, F, and G. If we right click on virtual drive E, we get a DAEMON Tools Pro menu, which allows us to mount the image, get the device info, and its parameters. Same method, same menu that appears for the virtual drive. And if we right click on the physical drive, there is actually no menu for the DAEMON Tools options. So, in order to mount the drive, you right click, go to DAEMON Tools Pro, select Mount Image. We have to browse for the downloaded ISO. So we click Download, and there we see two ISO files, one called AMD 64FRE and an x86 FRE. This is a 32-bit version, so if you have a 32-bit processor, you must use the x86 FRE, that is. If you have a 64-bit operating system, you can use either one. So I will choose to use the AMD 64FRE server to install. So I select the file and I click Open. So there you have it. The image file is mounted as an actual DVD file. So if you double click on it, you can actually browse the directories as if you were actually browsing a real physical DVD that was inserted into a physical drive. Sources. You can even run or execute the files on the virtual drive. So you double click auto run, see the parameters there, close this off, go back. Right, So we can either close or minimize this window to begin our virtualization of Server 2008. You can close this window as well. Now that the VirtualBox has been launched, we notice that there are actually no virtual machines or no VMs. So in order to create one, click on the new button. This menu will pop up. And since we want to install Windows Server 2008, we give it an appropriate name. '64. Notice to the type of Windows we can install as well. Either Microsoft Windows, Linux, Solaris, BSD, macOS, IBM OS2, or other type of operating system, as well as the version. So, since we'll be installing Server 2008, we select this version, 64-bit. Select next. We can adjust the amount of memory that is allocated to the virtual machine. The default is 512 megabytes. You can increase that using the slider to 1 gigabyte, or we can simply use these arrows here. So now that we've gotten that, select next. We do not have an existing virtual machine, so we leave this option and click create. These are the hard drive file types, VirtualBox proprietary file type, VMDK, which is a VMware proprietary file type, VHDs for Microsoft, HDD for Parallels, as well as these QED and QCOW for QEMU. So we leave it as this VDI image. I'll select next. Have the option of either making the virtual hard drive one that is dynamically allocated, that is, if files are added to the virtual hard drive, it will increase, or we can have the option of just creating a fixed virtual hard drive, a fixed size. So if things are added, the size of the hard drive will remain the same. So we want it as dynamically allocated, so we select next. Here we see the title of the virtual machine. The size of the hard drive is 25 gigabytes. Can increase or not using a slider. And we click create. Now, see the virtual machine has been created here. So before we even click start, there are a few things that we should check. And these things can be found in the settings menu. So we click the settings button. Right. So again, the name of the virtual machine, the type Microsoft Windows, as well as the version Windows 2008. Click advanced. Here we see shared clipboard for the virtual OS. Currently is disabled, but we can click bidirectional to enable the shared clipboard feature. And the drag and drop feature is currently disabled, but we can enable it by selecting bidirectional. The description tab, if you want to add some basic description about the virtual machine. Click on the system. Here we see the memory allocation. The boot order to devices, whether it boots from the floppy first, CD, DVD second, or the hard disk. So we can change the order, the priority. Processor count. Number of processors can be adjusted by using the slider up to 4. Here we see get a warning stating that it cannot handle 4 CPUs, so we adjust the slider to 2 CPUs. Acceleration tab. Display. You can adjust again the video memory by using the sliders. Can enable certain features such as enable 3D hardware acceleration. Enable 2D video acceleration. You can leave it as 128 megabytes, or we can adjust it again. Remote display or video capture options. Storage. IE controller. So we select the MT. And here, within these drop-down menus, we can select the order, whether it's an IDE, primary master, slave, or secondary master, secondary slave. You can leave these options here. Select this button, chooses a virtual CD DVD disk. Click on it. And remember from first part of the tutorial that we mounted the server 2008 ISO onto the E drive. So we select host drive E. We can select pass-through if wanted directly to the host drive. It makes it possible to use writers connected to the host inside a virtual machine. So we can select that. So we have the SATA controller. We type HCI. When we select now the VDI source, it says that the hard disk is located at SATA port 0. We have the option to see the hard drive as a solid state drive. So we can leave these options. Audio is enabled, that works. Attached to, we enable network adapters. There are 4 adapters that we can enable. It's attached to the NAT, network address translation. And when you click on the advanced, it shows advanced options, which gives us the adapter type. It also gives the MAC address, and it shows that the cable is connected. We can't choose the adapter type, you can leave it as is, or select server, empty server as such. Serial ports, port 1 and port 2 can enable serial ports. USB ports can also enable that, currently is, and we can use shared folders. So we leave these settings as is for now. Right, click OK. Settings has been saved. So now we begin the install process by clicking Start button. Click OK to dismiss that window. Okay, so now after we get this option here, leave everything as is and select next. Then we select install now. Okay, so a window will pop up asking for a product key, but since we don't have one, we'll uncheck this and select next to use it just as an evaluation version. Asks if you want to enter the product key now, we select no. So it gives us a warning here, but we ignore that for now and we select the version. To install, we select Enterprise. Check this box. Select next. Scroll through the end of the license agreement. Can read it if you wish, but select accept the license too. Select next. And since we are installing a new Windows Server, the version can't upgrade it, so we click Custom Advanced. It should install a clean copy. And here we see we have the virtual drive, so it reads as though it's an actual physical drive. There are advanced options for the drive. We can load a driver for a specific type of drive. We can refresh, format or extend, or we can create a partition by selecting new. And let's say 15. Apply. And there we have the partition that Windows will be installed onto disk 0 partition 1. as well as another partition which is unallocated space. When we select, right, we can even partition this, create a new partition from this, right, or we can extend, clicking extend to get back the original hard drive, applying. But if you proceed, you will not be able to undo this action later. So you can click OK. So it goes back to now the primary partition, the original. There we see the option that we can't, however we can delete it and do it again. So we can delete and start over. Here we have the option again, new, which is highlighted, so we can create a partition again if we wish. So let's click next. Copying files, and upon completion of installation, it will almost be ready to be used. After it has finished installing all the components, it will restart and you will be prompted with this screen as well as this screen which we are currently looking at. So we have almost completed the installation of Windows Server 2008 Enterprise, can be seen here. But before we do, we must provide a password. So we click OK, and there are certain complexity requirements. So type the password and ensure that we have to retype the password so that it matches. Click the arrow, changing password. Password has been changed. There we have it. Complete installation of Server 2008. This window will appear that allows you to configure your server. You can add roles to it if you want. So you close this or minimize. Like start. You're supposed to be able to browse the internet. So let's see. There we have it, able to access the internet. Close this off. So this concludes our installation of Windows Server 2008. So we go to the machine tab and we can either shut down the machine or pause the machine. So let's pause and undo it. Can take a snapshot of the machine. We can close the virtual machine, which will in effect either give us the option to pause the machine or to save the machine state. That is like hibernation. So we select save the machine state and click OK. Once done, it's in a saved state or hibernation state. When you select settings, notice that certain inputs are grayed out. That means we cannot change anything until we properly shut down the virtual machine. Everything is basically grayed out. You can only change a few things. Shared folders, transient folders, etc. Okay, so this concludes the installation of Windows Server 2008.